yeah, I'm happy to share some of our late experiences. When it comes to urban quality, we feel there's a lot of actors involved, and more in the past 10 years, 10, 15 years, we see this new hybrid type multi-role organizations coming up that we started calling Citymakers. You could see them as civic initiatives or social enterprises, very often a hybrid aiming for social impact, really, as a main aim, but with a financial model underneath it. So they're kind of these social investors that seek sustainability and are of great value to our cities. And I think we also take the role with STIPO to make those sort of investments ourselves. I have a couple of slides to share to give a couple of examples. So I hope you can see the screen I'm sharing now.
Yeah, we can see it.
So on the Stadmakers-Fund, this is a fund that we started because we noticed that a lot of these organizations are coming up, not only in the Netherlands, but all throughout Europe. And we see this happening globally as well. And very often, if they mature, if they take the next step in growing, they cannot get a loan from a bank. So there is no financial infrastructure somehow to make these initiatives grow. Just to give a couple of examples of what these initiatives then could do. This is our own case in Zoho in Rotterdam, Zomerhofkwartier, where we helped turn buildings and places in the entire area that was basically vacant when we started it, with a community of 100 co-investors, so to say, and turn these redundant buildings into great places, great value, opening up to manufacturers, startup businesses that would have otherwise left the city of Rotterdam, and a lot of social enterprises that helped people from the neighborhood to employment and etc. Working on Zoho, we got in touch with our really great partners in Berlin, the Holzmarkt, which was an initiative of a couple of young guys to open up part of Berlin next to the river, and do that in a very cooperative, collaborative way, creating a kind of a new cultural infrastructure, new public space as well. Again, one of these hybrid formulas. And working with them, these are some images of the area. These are on the left and the right. These are the two initiators of the project. We noticed that there's a whole movement of this happening in Europe. So we started this network called Recreators, kind of the city makers that redevelop areas, buildings in a very socially driven way. And we also started this network called Placemaker Europe, now with 3,000 participants in all countries in Europe. And we see a very similar discussion happening in this network as well. People taking initiative to create a better quality in their area. And on the one hand, we see a lot of social and financial innovation, but on the other hand, we see a lack of financial infrastructure to support them and to make this movement grow. And we are heavily influenced by the work of Joost Beuneman of 00, based in London, who created this compendium for the civic economy about 10 years ago, analyzing a lot of these cases. And 5 years down the road, they analyzed that a lot of the cases had run out of steam because they kept going on their volunteering energy, and there was it was lacking a financial infrastructure to support these initiatives, really. Now, we're not talking about a financial infrastructure to give money, but to invest money, because a lot of these initiatives have their own financial model. They're just not acknowledged by banks, for instance, to be able to get a loan for their initiatives. So we fear that if we don't provide this financial infrastructure, a lot of these great initiatives providing great qualities to our cities will run out of steam in the long run. We started the Stadmakers-Fund with the help of the province of Utrecht, to start investing into these type initiatives. Now, to give an example of the type initiative, this is a strip of grass in a business zone in Utrecht. It was not being used. And there were these initiatives, these initiators who saw this as a great place to start a hub for circular and creative economy. So this is the same place 5 years down the road. They had already started this as a first phase and as a temporary project, but now they were ready to take the next step. And with the Stadmakers-Fund, in which the province has provided the first million, it's a revolving sum for the first 10 years. We can now help invest into a project like this to grow 3 times as large and to grow from temporary to permanent, to a permanent situation in the city of Utrecht. In cities with high pressure, we see that these initiatives are very valuable for providing circular, social, inclusive projects. In cities with very low pressure, we see that these type initiatives, cooperative initiatives, are super important to develop in the first place, because there's nobody else developing very often. And so in this case, this Hof van Cartesius, for instance, is growing 3 times as large with the help of the Stadmakers-Fund. So what we feel is that this is just the first project, and we have now several new projects on the way. We feel that this is a type of financial infrastructure that would be needed throughout the Netherlands, but we hope to scale up to the European level eventually, because we see a lot of similar initiatives happening in other European countries. And we would love to discuss with you later on how we can make that happen together. There are already similar initiatives, of course, because we were heavily inspired by, for instance, the Stiftung Edith Marion and the Trias Stiftung from Switzerland and Germany, who are behind investing the Holzmarkt, the Ex-Grote Print in Berlin, those type of initiatives, a lot of cooperative housing developments, etc. So there are a lot of similar initiatives, and in a joint solidarity system, I think it's important for these systems to grow for the benefit of what you called, Frederick, the soft qualities of the city.